Hello, greetings. There's something else I want to add about the children, any arrangements made in Islam. Thinking of that and contemplating what kind of people were we? Taking refuge in Allah, the just, the all-knowing, the omniscient, the omnipotent, and not knowing. Never asked myself in those years of being a Shia how the Prophet Muhammad took care of the enemy side of the children, orphaned, lost their family members, male family members. It was all about the widows, wanting to help the widows and all this, and his grandsons, Hassan Hussein. We have to see how he was with his grandsons as a grandfather, and he gave us this great example. Or the aftermath of Karbala, that night, what was happening to the children from Hussein's side, his grandson's side, and what happened to the Ono Muhammad, Muslim Ibn Aqil's children, and all this, mostly concentrated on it. Have you noticed that although there is a chapter in Surah Nisa, the women, there's a chapter, there are verses about how to deal with orphans and their inheritance. There is a verse there, but you know what arrangements were made. We are never told what welfare committees set, or to take care of these orphans, the widows, children, the orphans of those widows. We are told one thing in the message, the movie that came out on Prophet Muhammad many years back. I saw it in cinema hall in London, that the children used to throw stones at him. So we never thought of those children, because Imam Ali the Shias would say, but overall unanimously what the Sunni and Shias agree upon is that those Meccan children or Medinian, or both of them, used to throw stones at Prophet Muhammad. So what kind of children would they be, that our minds just would not go to that? And if I'm also wondering if there are any hadiths on how Prophet Muhammad took care of these children when, I have just given you hearsay, however you may pronounce that word, what I heard about the traditions that came from the Shias and the Sunnis and from the movie The Message. But what arrangement, not a chapter on taking care of those children. This chapter that came down, Surah Dhaha, shelter, we have given thee shelter and all this. This we were told was for Prophet Muhammad. And so how we are supposed to take care of the believing later on, as we were told. Generally, it's... but was there any example? And this doesn't really cover how the orphans were treated, because at that time, if you look at it through the Shia sources side, very few were sincere and sincere Muslims and believers. So, I mean, even on his death, the disbelievers were giving him so much trouble that Umar bin Khattab had to say, they didn't even let him write his last will, what he wanted to write, convey, outside of the Quran ayats, what he wanted to dictate about his last will, so that you would never go, Estri and all that he said in his last sermon, that is recorded in the Shia hadiths, Sunni hadiths. It's recorded, I think, Muslims, that those who believe in the Hadith says that the Quran and my Sunnah, my way. So, like, can you believe this, that this omnipotent God, all just and all, couldn't send a chapter? It's very, very important about the children. And also that these people on the Sunni side, Umayyad side, so if he couldn't really, his religion had failed in this sense to bring a true welfare for the people, I think he should have given up. It's not really worth it. Again, I'm going to say this, that even if that true God he could not write a will. Umar bin Khattab intervened at that time. You can check the Hadith, pen and paper Hadith, or the Calamity of Thursday Hadith on Google search. Is it worth it, really? If you are failing in all this, through the Shia side, we only hear that Imam Ali, a few handful were Sahabas, and his cousin, son-in-law were faithful with him. Later on we are told how Imam Ali used to take care of the orphans and all this. But by then, I guess, they were forced to become believers. And so I really don't think this was a very good religion, now that I think of those children. Since I read Bani Qurayza from Ibn Ishaq, the Sunni sources, 1,000 children. Then in Karbala, it changes our consciousness to this, focusing on the Ahl al-Bayt children, 200 falling from the camel, the aftermath of Karbala, as they were taken captives from Karbala to Kufa to Sham. What kind of a God is this? So, although they try to protect, they say they tried to protect the children, but they couldn't even, before that, they couldn't even, Imam Ali couldn't protect Rasulullah on his deathbed. Yes, he gave him ghusl, he gave him the bath, the dead body, the last rites he performed. Him and another Sahaba of Prophet Muhammad were there. Only I think the uncle or uncle's son. So they performed this rites and all and buried him, while we were told, it's written, that Umar bin Khattab and Abu Bakr were there at Saqifa trying to, get a political Islamic leader, choosing an Islamic leader. So they did not perform the last rites of Prophet Muhammad. And so sorry about the bad English. I was really sorry about that. So I hope you will overlook. And so this is what I wanted to add, as I realized that shouldn't there be a chapter on how Muhammad treated the children of the enemy? But there is no chapter on that. And the only verse I've found was that men, women, and children in Surah Nisa, praying to God for help, to send them a helper from himself and a protector from himself, which I gave in the earlier audio video that I uploaded on YouTube and live stream Facebook. So this is really, really sad to contemplate on and to discover that taking, refuge in Allah, from Shaitania, in taking refuge in Allah from all evil, Shaitan, everything, we couldn't even think. Our minds did not go to the children of the enemy's side. Because we always thought that here The enemies did so much cruelty here to Muhammad, on Muhammad and Ali Muhammad, that we did not think of those children. Don't you think the enemy's children they deserved this if the parents, if the fathers were like this? So all that was covered so well that me, a Shia, and no Shia ever told me, did you ever think of the children of the enemy side? Even though the parents, So I could go on like this, back and forth. So this point has not been settled in me, and I still see a very cruel man, very cruel, most of his time, Prophet Muhammad, and then his progeny going after Fadak and all this, right? Were we ever told that, with the Safiya bint Huway, her children, did Zainab bin Jahsh have children from her first husband? How could have Muhammad treated them? Children running around in the house and all this. All that came was all these stupid things from the Sunni Hadith is ridiculous, not even important. Private affairs, matters with the wives that he used to fondle me. Aisha's Hadith from the Sunni sources. Salma's Hadith from the Sunni sources. Coming like that about Salma. During the menses, the Prophet was fondling us and this and that. Huh? And not that I haven't checked. I'm just on hearsay right now on the children, how he treated the children of the enemy side. I mean, they would have become Muslims and believers, but the thing is that, in the house were these widows' children, and Muhammad was really nice with them. And there must be many children, so many widows Muhammad married from the captive ladies. Right, what your right answer is. From the enemy side. There must have been a lot of children. And the children are not much in the picture. We just, even going through the hadiths, trying to check from the Sunni sources, I didn't see much of, children, Muhammad really being nice with children, taking care of the widows' children, widows that he had married and become his wives or his slaves. Slave captives or whatever it was. And so look at this, right? What a disaster. What a disaster. Horrifying, extremely sad, pathetic of that God, that just God. For we relied on him to be true Prophet Muhammad's Allah. Not even a verse on how to handle these children, just their inheritance. And what he did with, be kind with these. So we are, yes, there is in Surah Nisa, the ayahs on orphans, how to treat them, the children, be kind and all this. But not much of an example about Prophet Muhammad treating these children who came to this side after they were made captives, right? Or they had to become Muslims, embrace Islam, or believers. And then what he did to the adopted son, Zaid. So now their children could not become his adopted children. So I wonder what they became, because in the Surah Azab ayat we are told close associates. But they don't get inheritance and all this. How they took care of him, took care of the children, like the welfare, their upbringing, the education. Oh well, at that time it was just Islam, I guess. Yes, it was not guess, but it was from the Quran educating them like this. And if it was the Quran educating them by the Quran, then what do we have about children? Very little. Aisha said that she was playing with dolls, and she used to play with dolls and all this. And then later on, we're told that no, we're not allowed to play with dolls because that's, it goes into these deities or what. I don't know what the Sunni Hadith is really say. Sorry, I have to mention it like this very um, casually, but I never came across, no one even pointed out any serious hadiths that look, Prophet Muhammad, when the children, too young to know Islam. From Imam Hussein's side, we were told Bibi Sakina, his daughter, from 3 years old, she knew about Islam and all this, but that's the Prophet's progeny. People asking questions, um, adults. But then the Shia say that those rightly guided caliphs, three of them before Imam Ali, they were all hypocrites, and they tried to mess up Islam and gave Prophet Muhammad a hard time, lost in all these things. So do you think all this one Allah and this truth worth it? What the children must have gone through if, so many Makkans, Madinans, Jews gave him such a hard time. Where did their children go to? Just a few handful of children going after Prophet Muhammad, stoning him, so that that thing will just not come for them. That compassion, that mercy. And what a mercy. And we're told in the Quran, he's a verse. He's a mercy to all mankind, to the world. He's a mercy for the universe sent down. And fly, God says in the Quran, I do not shy off from mentioning about a fly. They may mock me or whatever, give a parable of a fly. But so many wars and all this, what happened to those enemy side children? So many children. There may be in thousands. I shudder at that really now, coming to think of that and my mind on that. So please think about it. I think I've caught him. Let me see. I'll try to, when I have the heart. Now, I don't have the heart, I confess, to search for those hadiths where Muhammad, what kind of behavior he had with the children of the enemy's side, and what kind of Zed's divorcee, married, and all these excuses. Who can you trust, really? So I really don't even have the heart to go back to those Sunni sources and Shia sources to look for these hadiths where he was kind and how he had a house for the children, the hujur. Well, he had these houses for his wives, that some came from the enemy side and he married. But God knows how they were. Not much is mentioned about how he treated the children. And maybe I haven't looked properly into it. But all this was all the time like widows. He helped the widows. He helped those enemies' side when they lost their father, mother. Oh, sorry, no, not mother, but father, uncle, brother, husband, things like that, right? Right? So that is mentioned too much in our face. That is there. Maybe I've overlooked saying about the children of the enemy side. The widow's children from, what did he do with them? I don't hear in Safia bint Huwai's house children, playing and all this, and how he treated them. Most of it is on Hassan and Hussein, even as a grandfather, Prophet Muhammad being a grandfather, in the Sunni hadiths too. So let's see. Okay, this also, but I really don't want to go in. Maybe I should. Let's see. I will, but maybe it will take a lot of time. I don't know how long it will take me to go and check the hadiths. So let's see. Maybe I've got him. I don't know. Okay, just relying on hearsay and all this that I've said. There is not even a chapter on these children. Okay, thank you very much. I'll continue later. I wish I could properly tell you and have done my thorough research, but I haven't. So, but this is enough for me. And my previous videos on the truth about Islam and Prophet Muhammad. This is enough for me. Thank you very much. I will, although then continue later.